This is one of the few places where we could go backwards if we wanted to. Why would we want to go out into the rain? Stars.
John, that is some,
That sounds reasonable.
Tattoo and tattoo.
You might be asking why it costs stars when the stars only recently started appearing and were only being used as currency for the professor back in the study. The better question to ask, of course, is why we need to pay stars here and at no other point of the game. Why yes, this lift does take a while, but it's important that it does. Remember that we've just come from a high-energy area in the rooftop city, and anything else is going to feel slow-paced and potentially boring by comparison. The nighttime city, the raining city, and this lift ride are necessary to cool the mood down and let us appreciate the next area properly. One of PID's greatest strengths is its ability to create a strong juxtaposition between the exciting and the calm, and use that to make the world come alive. It might feel like a superfluous detail, but it's easy to notice when it's not there. Oh dear. Well, I'd better hit the emergency, but there is no emergency button. Okay, don't panic, don't panic, don't panic. After all, there's only so many things we can do here. Something's bound to work. Aha, jumping. Always a good idea in a platformer. Just a little bit more. One more jump should do it. Alright. Screw the basement, welcome to the factory, where good ideas go to die. Throughout this level are a handful of really cool new game mechanics that you will see almost no trace of once we leave. But first, let's get us a new toy to play with. I love the slingshot. You can't use it unless you're standing on the ground, but it's still awesome and lets the levels open up to require beams to go everywhere, not just on the ground and readily accessible walls. This screen is a comparatively basic introduction to the slingshot before we begin the factory proper. Some of the jumps here are a lot tougher than I think any of the others that require use of the slingshot, but I guess it is an effective way to make sure someone has the skills they need. The true factory begins here. First new mechanic, Keybots. Doors here stay closed until one of them gets close enough. In the original design for the game, doors would close if Keybots moved away from them. Now, once open, they stay open. It's a cool mechanic that suddenly turns your enemies into the tools needed to progress, and I'd have loved to see more of it, especially since the need to keep them alive while still avoiding them creates some really interesting puzzles. Oh, I'm just going to look for secret rooms, excuse me for a moment. This is the first real puzzle with the Keybots. It's designed to make sure you understand that the robots are completely dispensable, and that it's fine to use the Keybot for another purpose before moving it to the door. Rocket-powered switches? Sure, why not? Again, manipulating the things that hurt you to progress. Also, the beams affect stacks on rockets. I like the way the engineer talked about the switches too. It helps make it feel like all of these ideas are only in the factory because that's the only place on the planet that they're allowed to dream these sorts of wild ideas up. The way these ideas all appear and disappear, to me, carries echoes of the earlier designs of the game, when there were a lot more mechanics planned for Kurt to encounter. These seemed like they had been created and programmed, but the eventual scope of the project meant that they couldn't use them anywhere else. Or perhaps a lot of things had been created and programmed, and when it came time to start cutting things that didn't fit or weren't strong enough, only the handful of mechanics introduced here remained. It's certainly true that there was a lot more mechanically that was going to be in PID when it was originally conceptualized. What I like to think happened was that Might and Delight created lots of factory levels involving a lot of different mechanics and kept only the handful that worked best. The pipes are really fun. Of everything we see in the factory, I wish there were at least 10 more puzzles involving pipes. Back to what I was saying, the factory was always meant to introduce a fair few new mechanics to the player, so I think it's good that they didn't go overboard and only kept the most interesting elements. A common theory of game design is that a game is complete not when there's nothing more to add, but when there's nothing more to take away. I think that if the factory had more screens than it does, it would have run the risk of becoming bloated, and it also wouldn't be the factory without these strange new mechanics that subvert the rules of the world that the player is used to. It's a delicate balance, and I think that they managed to strike it pretty well in the final product. Honestly, considering how long the game is with the mechanics that are left, I shudder to think how long it would have been with everything that they originally thought of, to say nothing of the extra development time and stress it would have put on the developers, but I'll talk about that in another video. Now, the trick to this puzzle is remembering that those buttons only need to be pressed once, and that you don't need to put a box on them. It becomes a lot more frustrating if you try to get up and back down with only 4 boxes obstructing the view cone. This, I think, is a pretty breakneck introduction to the movable platforms. Like the slingshot's introduction, once you get past this room, there's almost nothing involving these that really poses a challenge to you. If you're a quick thinker, you'll have noticed my mistake here. Actually, this screen might also take a little while for you to get, if only because of how easy it is to mess up and need to start over. The movable platforms come across as one of the hardest mechanics to make good use of. Having a surface to put the beam on that you can put anywhere in the level could very easily ruin the design of a puzzle in my eyes, and I think the developers may have realized this as well if the screen after the next one is anything to go by. You can actually jump over that, but I won't spoil how. This room feels like it could have been done, I don't know, better? I have no idea how, but something about it just doesn't feel like grade A material to me. Also, place your bets on how close I let the Keybot get to me before I move. Oh god, that was close. Tracks for the platforms. I think this allows for much safer, if not stronger, puzzle design. There's less chance of someone completely breaking it open. This is the final screen in the factory, and I think it's a pretty neat conclusion to it all. I'm sure you've all learned enough from this video that I won't need to explain how the solution to this puzzle works. Any questions?